we're dating. When you hear that word, what do you think? When somebody says, oh, yeah, we're dating, are they in a relationship? Are they just going on a couple dates? Have they only been on like one date, but they're kind of talking? I get it. It is really confusing when you are trying to figure out the definition of dating. It's sort of like there, there. You know, in school, when you're trying to decipher what the theirs are, where they mean different things, but also can be sort of similar. So same shit goes with dating. Welcome to Carla Turned On, where dating gets real, sex gets talked about, and the BS gets left on red. Let's get turned on. I'm going to break this down for you because I noticed the other day on my TikTok, and if you haven't followed me on any of my socials, you can do that at I am Carla Romo. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. Give it a like if you're watching it on YouTube. But I will tell you right now that when you are trying to figure out the definition of dating, people have different definitions. Who would have thought? Okay, this is how I like to look at the definitions of dating, and I genuinely want to know, are you and I, yes, you and I, are we on the same page with this? And if not, I actually want to know and hear from you. So please either comment on one of my socials or if you're watching on YouTube, comment. I genuinely am curious. All right, here we go. We're dating. This doesn't mean you're official. It maybe means that you've been consistently going on dates. However, you can use it as, oh yeah, we're dating. This is where it gets confusing. It's all about the context, okay? But yeah, we're dating. Okay, so that means that it could be official, right? But typically you'd probably be like, oh yeah, we're in a relationship. However, if you say something like, oh, I dated him or her, then you would probably be looking at that as, okay, yes, it's past tense, and you probably only went on a couple dates. You weren't in a relationship with them. Otherwise, you might say something like, oh yeah, they're my ex, or oh yeah, we were in a relationship. So you would bring it to that next level if you're talking about it in past tense. That's who I'm dating, or that's who I date. I would assume that there's something consistent here. You are probably in a relationship with the person if we're talking about it that way. However, if I say to you, if you are dating, then to me, I signal that as you are single. Okay, is anybody else here just like completely lost? It's like, what's going on? It is very, very confusing. I think though, to be completely honest, truthfully, the bottom line is that if you say like I am in a relationship, then you're in a relationship. Like I think that's pretty obvious. But using the terms dating, and then of course, let's throw a curveball out here because we're just having fun with this shit right now. We're seeing each other. Oh, shit. What does seeing each other mean? I wouldn't really suggest that seeing each other is dating. I look at dating as being more consistent. There's consistency behind it. You are going more formally on dates because then you would be like, oh, we're in a situationship, or we're just hooking up, or we're friends with benefits. And then it's like, what's the difference between friends with benefits and dating? So I'm just as like, what the fuck as you are right now. Like I said, I want to know if we agree. Unless you have this very clear-cut scaling system of how we talk about dating, I'm going to tell you right now, context means everything. You could just use the word dating, and if you don't have context behind it, then I have no idea what you're talking about, where it is. So that's what I'm going to land on. That is my conclusion today around how we define dating. It's like there's. I just sound like a crazy person, you know? Okay, all right, we're done. English was never my forte. It just isn't, which is the irony, because when I wrote my book, Contagious Love, Break Free from Codependency for Damn Good, my mother was like, you know, that's really interesting. As somebody who doesn't read books, which I read NPR every single day. I actually love reading articles. Especially NPR, they like get to the point. They just get in there, boom, 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 that's what's going on. I read it every morning. Books are so hard for me to finish. And I don't want to get into this whole space, but I think I have undiagnosed ADHD. Like I said, I want to this is a whole topic for another thing, but it doesn't really matter the title. I've learned ways to get by in life and in school when I was in school that were productive. And I actually look at this as a superpower, and it's not something that takes me down. So whatever this is, I don't know whether it's actual ADHD or Carla just has trouble finishing books when she starts them. You get the point. However, I will say that I really do enjoy writing. So there is that piece too. Okay, I digress. I'm done. We are going to be discussing and getting all into Carla Turned On today. As I always like to say, this is my turned off rant section. But this idea that you should be coupled up during the holidays, like WTF. Okay, I'm going to wait. I'm going to save it. I know I've got a lot to say, but I'm going to wait for it. And then we're going to really deep dive into why you can't get over them. Why you can't get over your ex, why you can't get over that situationship, why you can't get over that one person you hooked up with 2 years ago. And you're like, I don't get it. Maybe you've been in other relationships and there's still that person that is on your mind. We are going to be going into that and taking away the shame that you might be feeling right now, because there's no shame in the dating game. And then we're gonna taco about it. Taco stands for talking about coming in orgasms. And we're gonna be diving into mood killers and sensory foreplay. Getting a little spicy here. But first, let's get turned the F off. The holidays. Anybody here get the holiday blues where it just, everybody's like, it's the most happy, amazing time of the year, no matter what traditions you have in your family, religious beliefs you have. It is this 2-month pressure. And I always say 2 months because this shit starts right after Halloween? Yeah, after Halloween. I mean, you go get your Halloween candy and then boom, November 1st, you're there and Christmas shit is everywhere. It is like blaring in your face. It's almost like we skip over the Thanksgiving idea and then we're just like, what about Christmas? And then it just becomes all of this. And it's a lot. It's all in your face. Maybe you don't celebrate Christmas. Totally cool. There's nothing wrong with that. We are inclusive on Carla Turned On. But nonetheless, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, what is open on Christmas? Nothing. So you automatically have to take a time out too in the holiday season because nothing's really going on and lots of other people are celebrating holidays. Well, it's like just a lot. So it's normal to feel the holiday blues because it can be stressful AF. We're talking about family members. Maybe not everybody gets along with their family. And okay. This is going to be a side note of turned off rant. I think it is so messed up that as a society, hey, real quick, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want dating support, don't forget to look in the notes below where you can learn all about my guides and how to work with me. And if you want to follow me on my socials, you can find me anywhere at I am Carla Romo. Let's get turned on. If you have family members that are not good for your mental health or are toxic, that everyone's like, oh, but you guys should try to rekindle, try to make it work. No. Sometimes it's not safe to be in relationships with your family members. And it is important to have boundaries to not have those relationships. So even reevaluating that around family. But this brings me right to the point around the pressure of feeling coupled up for the holidays. Maybe it's family influence. Maybe you see it on the cheesy Netflix shows, movies, whatever those are that's going on. Yes, my sisters and I are suckers for watching them, laughing at them, and then we have a text chain all about them. Or maybe you see it on social media. You see all like the TikTok couples, Instagram couples, and they're like, just look so cute and happy together in this like perfect home. Perfection does not exist. It doesn't exist. That is all curated on social media. So if you get the holiday blues or you're feeling a little down about being single this holiday, I'm going to be fucking real with you. I think it is bullshit that we put this pressure on people who are single or aren't partnered that, boom, you need to have somebody for the holidays. Otherwise, how are you going to get through the holiday season? Maybe you just want to be under a rock, aka in your bed, chilling in silence. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But I am going to say this right now. Just because maybe you feel lonely, yes, we're going to bring out the L word, because feeling lonely for the holidays is normal. You are a human being. And when you see a lot of people posting about their families and the couples that are getting engaged or having that New Year's Eve or whatever wedding, and you're just kind of feeling a little blah about it, that is normal. There is nothing wrong with you. And honestly, I don't think you should change anything about that. Okay, well, I back up. I'm not saying that if you feel lonely, you should just sit in your loneliness and not do anything about it. But what I'm saying is that Just because you are feeling alone, because you are single, doesn't mean you need to go out there and find somebody or meet them right now this second because you are defective or something's wrong with you because you haven't met the one. No, instead, I feel like that is just asking for failure in terms of wasting your time dating somebody and trying to make something work when something's not going to work just to make yourself feel happy for a quick second. There's other ways to make yourself feel happy for a quick second that do not involve somebody else in the picture. But what I'm trying to say here is that there's just so much pressure. There's so much pressure. And family are going to talk with you about, are you dating anyone? Or, oh, the clock's ticking. You're not getting any younger. Or what's wrong? Why are you still single? I fucking hate when people ask the question, why are you still single? It's asking what's wrong with you. Now, I understand not everybody means that, and that's okay. Totally fine. Not everybody means that. We understand that. But the way it comes off is isolating AF, and no wonder you feel lonely. No wonder you feel alone this holiday season. No wonder you're dreading going to holiday parties, even work events. Let's be honest. You get to sometimes bring a plus one, and everybody's got someone, and you're like, who am I going to bring? Bring your friend. Bring your friend that you enjoy hanging out with and is chill AF, that you can have a good time with, but it can feel isolating. And then people at work, of course, gossip. Everybody talks about, oh, did you see blah, blah, blah at the Christmas party or holiday party? Or did you see what was going on here or there? The number one thing I'm going to say to you, though, is do not isolate this season. Take care of yourself. Find ways and things that make you happy, that make you feel like, okay, I feel connected to life, to earth, to nature, to friends, whatever it looks like. So embrace going to friends get-togethers around the holiday season. Like, that's totally fine. I think that's healthy. If you are feeling like you are the 12th wheel, maybe you reevaluate. If going is really going to feel miserable for you, maybe skip it. Skip it and replace it with something that brings you joy and makes you happy. That's okay. You're allowed to have boundaries to take care of yourself. You're not a bad friend. You're not a bad person. But it is so key to remember that wanting love is not desperation. Wanting a relationship is healthy, and dating is healthy, and being single is healthy. There's nothing actually wrong with you. So, at the end of the day, don't let the holiday highlight reel convince you that there's something wrong with you for being single. Nah, you are not late. You are living. Happy dating. You might have heard the term, the one that got away. Or maybe you just feel like, Carla, I can't get fucking over them. This could be anything from a situationship, the person that you were with 10 years ago, and now you're like, oh my gosh, I'm single. Maybe I should have just ended up with them. Or it could be the person that you dated 2 months ago. It really doesn't matter when we talk about getting over somebody, because some breakups don't just hurt for who they were. They hurt because it is a response of your nervous system. Sometimes it hurts because, and this is something that we might not even be conscious of, but it touches an old wound or something from childhood. For example, I have a client and she had been dating somebody for about a year. They broke up. Whatever, she wasn't that upset about it. Then she dated she grieved. Okay, I'm not just like throwing it away of like she had no feelings. She grieved. It was a normal breakup, but she got through it. Then she dated somebody for about 3 months. And when they called it off of continuing to date or not date, it was kind of at that tipping point of, okay, like I'm ready to make it official, and he wasn't yet. Boom. That activated so much in her that she said it felt harder to get over him than it did for the person that she was dating for a year. And why did this happen? Because she has an anxious attachment style. Basically, long story short, anxious attachment means that we are so preoccupied with our anxiety in dating. So we're worried that the person's going to leave. We might try to chase. We need to feel like we got to lock it in. We sometimes go after people who don't always want to commit. Okay, you get the point. The person that she dated for the year was secure. They just had differences in terms of a fallout because he was moving and she wasn't going to move with him, so it ended. This person, though, was avoidant. Avoidants are kind of this 1 foot in, 1 foot out of dating. They don't really want to commit, but they do genuinely want connection. It's just their default. When things start to get close, they pull away. Sometimes, for example, like my client, who wanted to take the relationship to the next level and be together, be boyfriend and girlfriend. And he wasn't ready for it. Now, here is the thing. It activated in her anxious attachment. Our attachment styles are connected and rooted in childhood. It is the way that we attach to our caregivers, our parents. So here's the thing about my client here. She got that tap, right? All of a sudden it was like, boom, right? Triggered. and if you've ever dated or whatever, you might have felt those triggers before come up and you're like, what the fuck is going on? But for her, it left her feeling really vulnerable, not enough, and not worthy. So she started to overthink all of these things. It pushed that button inside of her. It wasn't even necessarily about this guy. Yes, she was attracted to him. Yes, she liked him. And sometimes when we subconsciously don't realize it is a deeper wound that is going on, we think it is about the other person. So we try to get the other person back. We try to text them. We don't want to lose connection. We start stalking their Instagram. We look at their TikToks. When did they post? When didn't they post? I am not saying there's anything wrong with that because it's part of your healing process, but it is important to have boundaries when you are activated not to do those things because that is still pulling you and activating that part of you. But if you can think about how you have felt about somebody from your past and maybe they were the one that got away, or maybe they're the one that, wow, why does this feel so much harder? Why am I grieving so much more? There is something deeper within that got pushed. Another really big thing, and I can speak for this for myself, is the relationship became your identity. Or on the other hand, your self-worth. And I can discuss this because I used to be so codependent. Codependency is losing yourself to another person. Hence, losing yourself in a relationship. Whereas you are trying to fix, you are trying to heal, you are trying to help this person, that you have no boundaries, you have no sense of self. It stems from low self-esteem. And I'm not saying that if you're codependent, I am deeming you as low self-esteem at all. However, in my case, I had low self-esteem and self-worth. You would not have known that. I was very confident in other areas of my life. However, there was always this underlying hum that was going on of, I don't feel worthy. I don't feel enough unless I can make a relationship work. And so if you were in relationships that did not work, that you tried so hard at and it didn't work out, then you can be left thinking, I am not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not lovable. Here we go. We are now replaying those negative thoughts that keep us stuck there, that make us feel like, yeah, there's something wrong with me. I am not enough. And then, of course, that pours out into your dating because you're sitting there like, well, why can't I go on dates successfully without thinking about this person, right? That person activated that part of you. It is not about that person. And maybe logically you're sitting here like, yeah, Carla, I get it. I understand. But the reality is sometimes logically we get it, and sometimes emotionally we're just not there yet. So why does it feel impossible sometimes to then let these people go? The emotional pattern of the ups and downs or the feelings that you're experiencing probably feel familiar. And I always like to put this little pointer out there and let you know that just because something feels familiar does not mean that it should feel right or it should feel good. It doesn't have to mean that. What familiarity really means is that our body, our nervous system is like, yeah, I know that it feels shitty, but I'm going to stay here because this feels like a comfortable coasting baseline. No, we're going to move our nervous system to the side, if we really could. There are ways to do this. But we're going to hypothetically, just for a moment, set our nervous system to the side here. What can you give yourself when you are feeling this? Is it the lack of feeling connected? Is it the lack of feeling secure? Many times when we are in intense relationships, our nervous system is going, woo, woo, right? And intensity is not security. It is your responsibility to find security within. Because yes, when we feel secure in ourselves, then we attract partners who are secure. Or I want to put this caveat because I think this is so important. we might not attract partners that are secure. Sometimes we attract people who are anxious or avoidant or disorganized, which is anxious and avoidant attachment together, had a baby, yes. Or sometimes we just attract emotionally unavailable partners and we're secure and you recognize that. So you're like, I don't want to operate at this baseline, Carla. I am going to end it. The goal here is that you are making conscious choices from a place of feeling secure within yourself. And now I'm just going to break it to you because this one's kind of a big one. It is the story that you told yourself, the fantasy. I was going to get married at this age to this person, and it was going to be this type of wedding, and it was going to be amazing, and it was going to be great, and it just didn't work out. What is the narrative that you are holding on to? And a lot of times that narrative comes from inner fear. Are you worried about being single forever? Are you worried that you'll never meet someone? Are you tired of dating and hate it because it's fatiguing and you're burning out with dating burnout? Because yes, that is a real thing. And you just want to exit the game and be like, I'm done. Just find me somebody. I'm so sick of this. Those are all deep inner buttons that get pushed that help us feel safe in creating a story or a fantasy. I understand that sometimes when a relationship ends, we really were engaged. Or if you're going through a divorce, you really were married and you had that real part of you and the future. But the reality is, all we have is right now. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't make plans about your future or you shouldn't get married or engaged or make it official with the person. However, what I'm saying right now is, even if you were like, I didn't even make these fantasies, you are still grieving the narrative of what you had in front of you. That sometimes can hold us back so much because we so badly wanted whatever it was that we were telling ourselves. And what I'm going to suggest to you, if you are there, take a step back and look at the facts of the situation. That is not very fun. I'm just going to be real. It's not a magic wand, but it'll help ground you and recenter some of those narratives and stories that you're telling yourself. So no, you're not grieving them. Okay, maybe you are, but there also is a piece in here, pieces that are really big to acknowledge that you're not just grieving them. You're grieving hope, identity, what you thought your life would be like with them. And that is so crushing sometimes because it feels like a huge loss. It can even feel like a death. That is what grief is. Grief takes us up and it takes us down and it takes us back up again. And maybe you thought that you were over somebody and you go out and you date and boom, you feel like you're right back there again. That doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It just means that maybe there's some things that you got to focus on. You got to work on. You are not here just to sit back and chill. You are here right now because you saw something in the title or you saw me on one of my socials or I don't know, whatever. But ultimately, you think I'm just going to sit here and let you feel this? No, we're going to move through this shit right now. You ready? All right, let's do this. Number one, I want you to name the trigger. What is the wound here? Is it abandonment? Hi, it's me. Definitely have abandonment issues. That is a trigger for me. If abandonment is your trigger, great. If not, let's keep going here. Maybe it's loss of control or not feeling enough, not feeling lovable. Maybe it is just feeling sort of hopeless right now in terms of dating. Or you have the savior mentality and you felt like your worth was tied to not being able to save and fix the person. Number two, stop romanticizing potential and actually take a step back and look at the pattern. You have to fall in love with reality. That is number one. There is so much potential in lots of people. I see potential all the time, but that does not mean that that comes to the forefront. It does not mean that potential is evolved. No, it is just where you are and where that person is right there and then. You gotta be real with yourself. And number three is replace emotional intensity with emotional stability. That is getting secure in yourself. If something feels super intense or doesn't feel quite right in your gut, or you're just not feeling it, listen to it. Always Always, always, always listen to your damn gut. And at the end of the day, if you're like, I don't even know where to start. Okay, I get it. I'm trying to get out there and date. I'm trying to do the thing. I don't know what to do. And if you want more support around this, I do offer client sessions that you can find in the show notes or go to carlaromo.com. But at the end of the day here, you are not stuck on that person. You're stuck on the version of yourself you were trying to become with them. Happy dating. And now we're gonna talk about it. Talking about coming and orgasms. Yes, we are in the taco section right now. Makes it sound like you're walking down a grocery aisle. We are in the taco section, folks. As I always like to say, it's like white people taco night. Yes, I am half Mexican. And yes, no, actually, no, I don't really care for white people taco night. I really enjoy actual tacos, like Mexican tacos. So this is what it looks like. Some kind of meat. I feel like I'm so immature right now that I'm sitting here laughing about my segment taco and then also talking about meat tacos. I digress. You have a good type of meat. Then you chop up the onions, you put cilantro with it, chop it up, mix it all together. You put the meat in the corn. That is key. Corn. All right. You have to use corn tortillas. You put the meat in the corn tortilla. And then from there, you add the onion and you add the cilantro. And then you always need a good salsa to go with it. I really like for me, like carnitas is one of my favorites. That's pork. And so you would slow cook the carnitas and actually maybe like some seasonings and some garlic, maybe a little bit of onion in the slow cooker. And then you should be able to pull it apart, put it in the corn tortilla, add in the onion, the cilantro, and then some salsa verde, which is that green salsa that you see in jars or at Mexican restaurants. Boom, chef's kiss. So that's it. And I know a lot of people like to have a little lime and put some lime over. Not my thing. Not my thing. But anyways, here we are. We're talking about foreplay and things that kind of kill the mood of foreplay and things that are going to be sensory foreplay. Because let's be real. When you are going to have sex with somebody, you don't want to just be like, boom, we're doing it. No, that would be so uncomfortable. And maybe for men, that's easier and doable. For women, okay. If you're a woman listening right now, please, for the love of God, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you are a dude listening right now, please, for the love of God, I hope you realize women need a warm up. That is what makes good sex for women. And on the flip side too, if you're a guy, foreplay is also going to make for good sex. It's not just about the woman. It is about everybody enjoying it and being pleased. Here are a couple mood killers in terms of foreplay. Trying to rush through the foreplay. Nobody wants to feel like you are in a racetrack and vroom, vroom, let's go, let's go, let's go. You want to feel connected. Foreplay begins before you take your clothes off. Yes, you don't have to be naked to start foreplay. It can be kissing. It can be touching. It can be using your hands in certain ways. Those are all ways to get things started. But nobody wants to feel rushed like somebody's ripping off your pants or they're ripping off your shirt. Okay, maybe that is sort of your vibe. You like that intensity and speed. But in this case right now, we're not talking about somebody liking the vibe of intensity and speed. We are talking about ways to get into it sexually. Another mood killer is performing instead of just kind of going with the flow. Whereas it feels like all of a sudden somebody is just kind of going through the motions versus reading your body cues or having communication around it, or is just kind of doing their own thing. So it's no longer two people together doing the foreplay. It's one person who is just taking the reins and running with it. Another mood killer when it comes to foreplay is not asking the other person what they like and what they don't like. Yes, have that conversation. Everybody is different. And because everybody is different, yes, ask the questions. And if the other person on the receiving end isn't really answering or really doesn't seem interested, maybe they feel uncomfortable. So it's okay to go a little bit slower or to try different things and ask them how they like that. But it is a mood killer if you're not doing those things. So here are 3 steps to make foreplay actually great in bed. Number 1, slow down your touch. Yes, I said that foreplay can happen before your clothes are even off. So that's why people usually do some making out, maybe some touching, dry humping, whatever your style is. But here is the key here. Slow it down. You want the other person and you to have your nervous systems in sync together. You want to feel like you're both vibing at the same pace. You want to feel like you're both relaxed, because when you feel relaxed, you feel safe with that person. And that safety and security is key to actual good sex. Number 2, focus on the sensation, not the performance of it. So really, it's hard if you're in your head and you're overthinking things and you get anxious around sex, whether it's men who have performance anxiety or women. Yes, women have performance anxiety too. It just looks and feels a little different. But if both people are in their heads or one person is in their head, a way to get back to it is ask, like, how does this feel? Don't start asking. This is also a mood killer. Don't start asking, like, are you going to come? Are you close? Are you close? Like, no. Just that can absolutely kill the mood. And anybody who has performance anxiety or is in their head is now focused on what's wrong with me that I can't orgasm right now. But get back into your body and think about, and this is helpful with masturbation, of what you like and what you don't like, so you can communicate that to the other person and you can try different things on the other person. But being able just to take it down a notch, relax into it, will make it feel more pleasurable. And number 3, let desire build instead of forcing it. You also don't have to have sex. And maybe the person's like, you know what? I've got a really early morning. I can't stay too late. Like, this was great. Bye. That doesn't mean they're not into you. If they don't text you back, though, whether it's a man or a woman, like, that's not cool. If they just like ghost you after that. But what we're talking about here is just somebody genuinely is busy. They need to get going. That can also help anticipate and build for next time. There's also other ways to be able to create desire. Taking turns for foreplay, doing foreplay at the same time to each other. There's so many ways to be able to build upon this. So yes, take turns, share. Sharing is caring. But ultimately, number 1 thing is include foreplay. I get sometimes you're excited. Sometimes you're like, let's just do this. Let's get it over with. Let's rip this Band-Aid off. No, you don't want to look at sex as ripping a Band-Aid off. You want to look at it as, how do we connect? How do we slow it down? How do we communicate? What's this person like? What do I like? And how do we come together so we create this space of touch, desire, and physical intimacy that feels fucking, no pun intended, great. Loved this episode? Rate it 5 stars, hit that subscribe button, baby, and leave a review. Do you want to work with me? Grab my dating courses, apply for my coaching at carlaromo.com, or find it all in the show notes, and give me a little follow at I am Carla Romo on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Catch you next time, and stay tuned. Carla Turned On is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is not a substitute for therapy. For professional support, please reach out to a licensed mental health provider.